Means that do it. Burger
Welcome to the third hour of Airchecks as October as a Halloween theme. The Inner Sanctum was an anthology series featured stories of mystery, terror and suspense, and its tongue-in-cheek introductions were in sharp contrast to shows like Suspense and The Whistler. The early 1940s programs opened with Raymond Edward Johnson introducing himself as your host, Raymond, in a mocking sardonic voice. A spooky melodramatic organ score, played by Lou White, punctuated Raymond's many morbid jokes and playful puns. Raymond's closing was an elongated pleasant dray yams, His tongue-in-cheek style and ghoulish relish of his own tales became the standard for many such horror narrators to follow, from fellow radio hosts like Ernest Chappell, on Willis Cooper's later series, Quiet, Please, and Maurice Tarplin, on The Mysterious Traveler. When Johnson left the series in May 1945 to serve in the Army, he was replaced by Paul McGrath, who did not keep the Raymond name and was known only as your host or Mr. Host. Barry Kroeger had substituted earlier for a total of 4 episodes. McGrath was a Broadway actor who turned to radio for a regular income. Beginning in 1945, Lipton Tea sponsored the series, pairing first Raymond and then McGrath with cheery commercial spokeswoman Mary Bennett, aka the Tea Lady, whose blithesome pitches for Lipton Tea contrasted sharply with the macabre themes of the stories. She primly chided the host for his trademark dark humor and creepy manner. The program's familiar and famed audio trademark was the eerie creaking door which opened and closed the broadcasts. Heman Brown got the idea from a door in the basement that squeaked like hell. The door sound was actually made by a rusty desk chair. The program did originally intend to use a door, but on its first use, the door did not creak. Undaunted, Brown grabbed a nearby chair, sat in it and turned, causing a hair-raising squeak. The chair was used from then on as the sound prop. On at least one memorable occasion, a staffer innocently repaired and oiled the chair, thus forcing the sound man to mimic the squeak orally. Its campy comedy notwithstanding, the stories were usually effective little chillers, mixing horror and humor in equal doses. Memorable episodes included Terror by Night, September 18, 1945, and an adaptation of The Telltale Heart, August 3, 1941. The latter starred Boris Karloff, who was heard regularly in the first season, starring in more than 15 episodes and returning sporadically thereafter. Other established stars in the early years included Mary Astor, Helen Hayes, Peter Lorre, Paul Lucas, Claude Rains, Frank Sinatra, and Orson Welles. Most of the lead and supporting players were stalwarts of New York radio. These included Santos Ortega, Mercedes McCambridge, Barry Kroeger, Lawson Zerbe, Arnold Moss, Leon Janney, and Mason Adams. Players like Richard Widmark, Everett Sloan, Burgess Meredith, Agnes Moorehead, Ken Lynch, and N. Seymour also found fame via the Inner Sanctum mysteries. Out of more than 500 programs broadcast, only about 200 remain in circulation, sometimes minus dates or titles. Here is Death for Sale as broadcasted on July 13, 1952.
Good evening, friends of the creaking door. This is your host to welcome you once again into the Inner Sanctum. Come on in for the crime of your life and meet one of the illustrious inmates from our Who's Who. This cadaverous cut-up is Mr. Seymour Blade. His wife had a tiff with him and punctuated it with a kitchen knife through the middle, which is, of course, one way of making your point sting. All right, then lend a fear now to some grim happenings and hear what kind of profits our star Boris Karloff in the role of Mark Devers reaped when he put up Death for Sale. The ashtray in the reception room is stuffed with half-smoked cigarettes. The disheveled man waiting paces his caged animal steps this way and that. Each second his eyes dart to the door at the end of the room at the slightest sound. At last, the knob turns. The door swings wide open.
Well, Doctor?
Your wife is in pretty bad shape.
Cora is my wife.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought...
Forget it. Bad shape. But she's going to pull out of it. Right?
Mr. Devers...
She's not going to pull out of it?
Well, it doesn't look as if she will.
What?
There's a chance. Only a very small one, but still a chance.
You're lying. She's going to pull out of it. She's got to.
We're doing everything we can.
Look, even if she has to die, you could pull her out of it for an hour, couldn't you? Just an hour so that she could sign something.
Mr. Devers.
It means everything to me, Doc. You could give her a shot or something, couldn't you?
Good day, Mr. Devers.
I'll give you $5,000.
Good.
$10,000, Doc, and you fool, you don't understand. You've got to do this for me. You've got to. The doctor doesn't understand. He'd do the same in my case. So would you. So would anybody. $50,000. I was 1 hour away from $50,000. Money that belongs to me. My money that I waited 7 long years for, and I won't be cheated out of it. 7 long years. It all seemed so simple then, so sure. We had a perfect plan for $50,000, and nothing was going to keep us from it, and nothing did. Up to 3 weeks ago. That was when Cora called me at the office. I just thought she was imagining things again as she had right along. I told her so, but she said no. This man was watching her night and day.
He is, Mark. He's outside the house right now.
Oh, come now, Cora.
I tell you he is.
Oh, you're just imagining things again. Why don't you try to...
I'm not imagining anything. He's right outside the house across the street, and I'm...
You'll be positive after 7 years?
I know I've been wrong before, but this time I'm sure Elliot's come back and...
What?
The doorbell just rang.
Who is it? Evelyn?
I suppose so. We're supposed to go to the movies together.
Good idea. Take your mind off believing everyone you see is Elliot Starnes.
You're not coming home, then?
Not till I've finished at the office.
All right, Mark. Suit yourself.
Goodbye, darling. Give my best to Evelyn.
Mark? Oh, all right, I'm coming. I was on the phone, Evelyn.
Well, aren't you going to ask me in? Oh, of course. After all these years, you've probably forgotten who I am. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Elliot Starnes, your beloved husband.
Elliot, you're supposed to be...
Dead? Yes, I know I'm supposed to be, Cora, but as you can see, I'm very much alive.
I knew it was you this time. I knew it.
I think you better ask me in, don't you? After all, it isn't very often that a husband comes back from the dead.
Back from the dead. That's what he was, all right. And when Cora called me this time, I didn't say I couldn't leave the office.
Yes.
All right, Cora, pull yourself together.
But, Mark, you don't understand.
Oh, yes, I do. You've been scared for the last 7 years, and you're going to go on being scared for the rest of your life.
He wants $5,000 more to disappear again.
Well, I didn't expect him to come back just to say hello. Of course he wants more money.
What are we going to do? He knows that we collect that $50,000 insurance money 3 weeks from now. He says if we don't come through with his 5, he'll go straight to the insurance company and
don't be a fool. He's in this thing as much as we are. He won't do anything to spoil his chances. All he wants is money.
The longer he's around, the more chance we take that somebody might recognize him. Mark, We can go to jail.
We've waited a long time to get our hands on this money, and I don't expect to be cheated out of it now.
You're going to give him the 5,000.
I don't know. Maybe.
But
nothing. When did he say he's coming back?
tonight, after midnight.
All right. I'll be here. We'll handle Elliot once and for all, and after this time, there won't be any coming back. I guess no matter how carefully you plan, there's always that one small thing you fail somehow to cover. 7 years before, I was sure we'd covered everything. And it was clever. Really clever. The law says that if a body isn't recovered after 7 years' time, a man is declared legally dead. So we found us a body, Cora and I did. We found Elliot Starnes and sold him on death for $5,000.
Sure, I'll do it. I'll marry Cora and then disappear. For $5,000, you can sell me on anything.
He married Cora, and a little while after the policy was issued, his automobile was found at the bottom of Ridgely's Pond. Oh, the police dragged the water for days, but naturally didn't find the body, and the insurance people exercised their right to withhold payment till Elliot was declared legally dead.
I understand, gentlemen. And I don't even care about the money. All I care about is that my poor husband is dead.
It was clever, all right, and Cora put on a good act. We knew we'd cash in where others had failed because we weren't anxious. We were willing to wait for 7 years. And wait we did. It was a perfect plan. Nothing was going to keep us from it. Nothing except... Now, Elliot had come back. He swore he'd never return, and he'd gone back on his word. But by midnight, I'd made up my mind how to handle Elliot.
No, Mark.
The only way.
No.
The only way. This $5 that he wants, that's only the beginning. He'll hold us up all his life.
No.
He'll drain us dry of every cent of that $50,000.
I won't let you do it.
Yes, you will. We're in this far. You won't back down now.
I've got to. I never dreamed it would turn out like this.
Another few weeks and he'll be legally dead.
There must be another way.
Only this, believe me. And after it's done, it'll be you and me and nobody the wiser. Go on. Open the door for him.
Mark,
Cora, do what I say.
I can't.
You've got to.
All right.
I'll be inside. Tell him everything is set.
I will.
Hello, Cora. Oh, won't you come in, Elliot? Thank you, my dear. Don't mind if I do. Mark here yet, Cora?
Yes. He's in the living room.
Oh, fine. Then you and Mark have agreed on the deal for me.
Yes, we have. Come in, Elliot. Everything's set.
So Mark is waiting for Elliot in the, you'll pardon the expression, living room. Whatever happens to Elliot actually serves him right. After all, here in the sanctum, we don't go for live people walking around as if they were ghosts. It's enough to scare the death out of us. Poor Cora is so nervous. She just can't look a corpus delicti in the prima facie. Well, enough grave philosophy. Suppose we let our star, Boris Karloff, take up our stock story where we left off.
Everything was set. I planned to kill Elliot with the knife I held behind me, and I felt absolutely no compunction about it.
Oh, you're joking.
No, Elliot.
You're crazy. Cora, stop him. You'll never get away with it. Mark, no!
I buried him in the back of the house. I say I did. Because Cora wasn't much use to anyone that night or for several days afterwards. She got over it, as I knew she would. She got over it when she realized that I was right, that we had gotten away from it. And no one could ever know, and no one would miss him. She got over it when I reminded her that in just one more week, we'd be sharing that $50,000.
Just 1 week.
That's right, Cora.
I've been a lot of trouble to you these past few days. I am sorry.
Oh, forget it. It's all over.
Yes, it is. I'll feel a lot better when the money's actually ours. Somehow, way in the back of my mind, I feel that maybe we won't...
Look, darling, it's as good as ours now. There's nothing left in the way, not a single thing.
1 week.
That's all.
Oh.
Now, wouldn't you know? You expecting anyone?
No,
Evelyn?
not at this hour.
Well, whoever it is, get rid of him.
Yes, darling. I'll get rid of him. Yes?
Mrs. Stein?
Yes?
Mrs. Elliot Stein?
That's right.
I want to talk to you. Here's my card.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm busy right now.
Too busy to see me. I can promise you that.
Oh, now, see here.
Nice card, ain't it? Real fancy engraving. Mrs. Elliot Stein. That's right. I'm the woman Elliot married after he disappeared 7 years ago. Now, I don't think you're going to be too busy to see me after all. Do you?
Maybe it's fate. Maybe it's all in the cards. You work hard. You think out a plan that's letter perfect. Then up pops the unexpected, forcing you into the first desperate step to lick it. First Elliot Starnes himself, then his second wife that we didn't know existed.
And here's our wedding license, just in case you don't believe me. Here, you can look at it.
Take it easy, Cora. We believe you're his wife, Mrs. Starnes.
And he's got a birthmark.
We said we believe you. Now, what do you want?
Well, what does any good woman want? My husband.
And why come here?
Where else would I go?
I'm afraid we don't understand. Do we, Cora?
No.
I'm afraid you do.
Now, look here.
I'm afraid you understand awful well. Elliot told me.
Told you what?
What you two were doing. He also told me if he should fail to come home after a couple of days...
Mrs. Starnes, we haven't seen your husband for 7 years.
Now, you don't expect me to believe that, do you?
I don't see why not.
I do. You see, Mr. Devers, the other day, with my own eyes, I seen Elliot walk into this house. But I didn't see him walk out again. What's the matter, Mr. Devers? You got nothing to say?
What do you want, Mrs. Starnes?
My husband, of course. Only since you killed him, I can't very well have that, can I?
What?
He's the only man I ever loved, and you killed him. I never should have let him come here. For days I begged him not to.
Mrs. Starnes.
I made a mistake letting him come here. I know that now. But I want him back. I love him and I want Elliot back.
Do you want your husband, Mrs. Starnes? Or a substantial sum of money?
Huh?
How much?
How can you talk about money at a time like this?
5,000?
I loved my husband, Mr. Devers.
7,500? Well, how much?
25,000.
What?
In cash.
Mark.
Let me handle this, Cora. And if we refuse?
Well, then I'll just naturally have to tell my story to the police.
Mark.
Cora.
But you...
Oh, let's drop all the small talk, Mr. Devers. I want 25,000 and I want it fast. Now make up your mind.
I'll make up my
Now,
mind.
Mr. Devers, don't get rough. I'm not as dumb as my ex-husband. I've taken steps against anything happening to me.
No, Mark.
Better listen to her.
You're not getting away with this.
Then you don't get away with Elliot's murder.
So help me.
Before you put that hand on me, you better have your lady friend look out that window.
What?
There's a taxi across the street, Mark.
My taxi. And the driver knows I'm in here. You'd have to kill him, too. Elliot's ever-loving second wife is here to stay. And if you want to get her out of your life, the cost is going to be $25,000. By this time tomorrow night.
After she left, I had some work to do on Cora.
It won't be the same way, Mark. Not another murder.
Who said anything like that?
Promise me. Not the same way.
Sure, promise. After all, if we can get away with $25,000, is that so bad?
I'd rather settle for none of it.
Huh?
That money won't do us any good now.
Why not?
It just won't.
Oh, you're all upset. You'll feel differently day after tomorrow when you sign those papers in the insurance office and they hand that fat check over to you.
No, Mark. I'll never feel differently about it again.
I knew I couldn't work Cora my way much longer. But it was just 2 more days. 2 more days to get that $50,000. Just 2 things to settle in just 2 days. First, there was Mrs. Starr. When she came to my apartment the next night, I handed the envelope over to her.
It's all here?
You can open the envelope and count it if you like.
I don't have to, do I?
And what if I cheated you?
You wouldn't. I could always come back.
You could always come back for more anyway.
What do you think I am?
Doesn't make any difference now what I think.
Okay. No hard feelings.
There are, but they won't bother me for long.
Of course not. That money you're collecting will cure that.
I'll be cured before then.
That's your business.
It's yours, too, now.
I don't see how.
Now, do you see?
Put that knife down.
I will. Into you.
No. Don't. Please.
That door's locked. You can't get out.
Don't. You can have the money back.
There isn't any money in that envelope.
Huh?
Just strips of newspaper. Where can I get $25,000?
I don't care about the money.
I do. I cared about it for 7 years. Cared enough to murder once, and I can do it again. Now, Mrs. Starn, I've no hard feelings towards you. None at all. Just 2 things to take care of in just 2 days. The first, Mrs. Starnes was taken care of, and the second was now just an hour away. The $50,000 was waiting in the insurance office for Cora. All she had to do was sign her name on some papers to get it. Oh, you can imagine how relieved I was as I sat next to Cora when she drove to the insurance office. But it was different with Cora. Cora didn't say a word.
There's nothing left to say, Mark.
Oh, money will make you talk, Cora. You wait and see. After you get your hands on the... Hey, you're taking the wrong street.
No, Mark.
Sure you are. This is the way.
It's the only way left for us, Mark.
Huh?
We're driving straight out of town. We're never coming back. There'll be no more murders.
Cora.
I know you killed that woman.
Now, where did you ever get that idea? I paid her and she left.
I was outside your apartment house last night.
All right. So you know now. What did you expect? I couldn't let it all go down the drain, not after 7 years? Turn the car around.
No.
You're going to sign those papers. I want that money.
It's too late, Mark.
Like fun it is.
Let go.
You're turning this car around.
Mark, the wheel, let go.
I wasn't even scratched in the crash. Cora wasn't that lucky. I rushed her here to the hospital. And you heard what the doctor said.
There's a chance. Only a small one, but still a chance.
No, the doctor doesn't understand. There's got to be more than only one small chance. I was 1 hour away from that $50,000. Money that belongs to me, money that I've waited 7 years for, and I won't be cheated out of it. Cora's got to live. She's got to sign those papers. Well, Doctor?
There's someone waiting for you down the corridor, Mr. Devers.
What about Cora? There's still a chance, isn't there?
No chance at all anymore.
You're lying.
The gentleman is waiting.
You're lying. She's not dead. She can't be.
The gentleman is from the police. She asked me to call.
It's a lie. She's not dead.
Mr. Devers, try to understand. She is...
No. It's not true, and I won't listen to you. She's got to sign those papers. You've only got to keep her alive another hour. You're a doctor. You can do that.
Mr. Devers,
7
please.
years. Don't you understand? Oh, I can't let 7 years go down the drain. 7 years. It can't turn out that way. No. She's not dead.
So Mark's 50,000 went down the drain after all. And Mark went down the hatch of a scaffold. You know, I can't feel sorry for Mrs. Starnes. She should have known that a rolling widow gathers only mausoleums. Yes, sir, when you use a dead husband for blackmail, you're bound to end up face down. Oh, a footnote. When you're dealing with life insurance, remember, honesty is the best policy. Well, friends, it's time once again to close that creaking door. Until next week at this same time, when we'll be back with a little hunk of horror. You'll be sure to listen, won't you? Until next week, then. Good night. Pleasant dreams.
Inner Sanctum has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
That was Inner Sanctum's Death for Sale as broadcasted on July 13, 1952. Sometimes being married can be a scary thing. Here is Inner Sanctum's Till Death Do Us Part as broadcasted on September 14, 1952.
Good evening, friends of the creaking door. This is your host to welcome you once again into the Inner Sanctum. Come in. Come in and meet our newest spirit. He'd been married for 10 years, and everything was going fine until one night at dinner, his wife asked him to pass the knife, which he did, right through her. Then he hit her body in the town bell.
that's where he made his mistake, because the next morning she told on him. And now we can turn to a little matter of murder. Our story tonight begins on a pleasant note with a honeymoon couple. But don't start to squirm. The unpleasantness will commence soon enough. Let's look on at Joe and Nancy Stone, married hardly 5 hours, and parked at the side of the road by the bank of the old mill stream, and whispering sweet nothings to each other.
Gee, Nancy, it's wonderful to be married. Yeah. The other clerks at Scott's department store can see us now.
I don't want anybody to see us. I just want to be alone with you, Joe, for the rest of my life.
Hope you don't mind spending our honeymoon in a tourist cabin instead of a swanky hotel.
But I love it this way, Joe. The stream rushing past, the moonlight shining on the bridge, the woods all around us. Look, there's another car. They're parking on the bridge.
He's turning his headlights out, too. They think they've got privacy. I guess they can't see us parking.
Look, Joe, that couple's getting out of the car.
Yeah, for a walk on the bridge. Wonder if this is their wedding night, too.
It's a gorgeous car. Joe.
What?
That couple, they're acting very strange.
Huh? They're having an argument.
Joe, look what he just took out of his pocket.
Holy mackerel. A gun.
He's pointing a gun at her. He shot her.
Holy mackerel. It can't be. It must be a gag of some kind.
But you saw the flashes when he fired the gun. How still she lies. Her body crumpled at his feet.
Yeah, he's picking her up. I bet he's going to throw her into the
Joe,
street.
don't let him.
Nancy, you push my hand down on the horn. He sees us.
He's starting across the bridge.
Setting for us. He knows we witnessed the murder. He's got to kill us, too.
Quick, start our car.
He'll be here before I can turn the car around.
What are we going to do?
We'll duck into the woods. Come on. Quick. Let's run.
My high heels, I can't run fast.
You've got to. Here, through these bushes. Get behind this tree.
He's getting out of his car. He has the gun. Joey, he means to kill us.
He's coming straight for this tree. He knows we're here. Nancy, we've got to run for our lives. Take my hand. Come on.
Shooting at us.
Nancy, faster. Faster. Faster.
I'm tired, Joe. I can't go much further.
We can't stop. He's close behind us.
Is he gaining on us?
Nobody's still after us.
Let's stop and run.
Oh, not yet. I saw headlights up ahead. Maybe there's a road if we can only make it.
Joe, I'm through. I can't go anymore.
Nancy, look. Through the trees, the road. Come on, one last sprint. Here it is, Nancy. The road.
I never thought we'd make it. Is he still after us coming through the woods?
I don't know. We'll stop the first car that comes along. Oh, take it easy, baby.
I was thinking of that poor girl who's lying dead on the bridge.
And on our wedding night, too. Here comes a car. I'll stop it. Hey!
It isn't stopping.
You went right by.
Joe.
What?
I think I hear something behind us in the woods.
It's only the wind in the trees.
Suppose he should suddenly step out of those woods with his gun.
Maybe he gave up. Maybe went back to take care of that body.
Our car is there, Joe. With our marriage license in the glove compartment. And there's a seat Mrs. Swenson gave us for the cabin.
Yeah, he'll know all about it, who we are, where to find us.
We don't know a thing about him except his face. The face of a murderer.
Come on, Nancy. I think we better start walking. We've got to get to the cabin and phone the police.
How much further, Joe?
Just around the bend.
I'd like to lie down and sleep. Right here on the road.
Fine way to spend a wedding night.
Darling, look. We're there. Swenson's cabin.
They're all dark. Everybody's asleep. Now we'll have to wake up Mrs. Swenson, use her phone.
Joe.
What?
Look in front of our cabin.
Huh? Hey, that's our car.
The murderer must have driven here in it by another road to wait for us.
I don't see anybody around.
Maybe he's in the car.
Wait here, I'll go and see.
No, he'll kill him.
Don't worry. We both saw his face. He's got to kill us both. If I go over there alone, he won't shoot till he knows where you are. Now, take it easy. Stay back here in the shadows. It'll be all right. It's okay, Nancy. The car is empty.
Maybe he's hiding somewhere close by.
No, he must have skipped out.
But why would he bring our car back here?
He wanted to get it away from the bridge. Don't you see? He must have dumped that girl's body in the river, and then he took our car away. No trace.
I'm scared, Joe. Maybe he's hiding inside the cabin waiting for us.
He'd be a sap. One shot would wake up all the people in the other cabins, and Mrs. Swenson, too. He'd never get away with it. Come on. We're going in our cabin and get cleaned up. Then we'll use the phone. The switch is right here. Hey, see? Nobody hiding. Holy mackerel.
What is it?
Oh, over there on the bed.
What a...
It's the girl's body. Just like we saw her on the bridge.
And now we can return to that cozy little honeymoon cabin where Joe and Nancy found the beautiful corpse on their bed, the corpse who'd had her face lifted. But don't worry, before the night's over, the murderer may have his face lifted, too, on the end of a rope. Now, if that murderer were an Oriental, he might try to save face, but you can't save your face if you lose your head, can you? In the meantime, I wonder what Joe and Nancy are going to do with the uninvited corpse in their honeymoon cottage. Don't you?
Now, listen, Nancy, we have to think this over. We're in a jam. Oh, for the love of Pete, Nancy, this is no time to faint.
It's awful. Her face.
No. Don't look at her. Now, here.
What'll we do, Joe?
I don't know. I got to think. Oh, on our wedding night to have a thing like this happen.
Why did he leave her here, Joe?
To put us in a spot. The cops will never believe our story. Now they'll think we killed her.
But, Joe, we never saw her before in our lives.
Nancy, we've got to get rid of her.
What?
We've got to take her back to the bridge and dump her right back on the murderer.
No.
It's the only thing we can do. Suppose the cops come here and find her. They'll grill us for hours. They'll hold us for the inquest. It might take a week, 2 weeks. A fine way to spend a honeymoon in jail.
I never thought of that.
We've got to do it. We've got to take her back.
But that means we have to lift her up and carry her.
I'll carry her, but you'll have to help.
I couldn't.
You've got to.
What must I do?
You go out and get the back door of the car open, and then I'll bring her out.
Joe, they'll find us here with the body.
Quick, throw the blanket over her. I'll see who it is.
I can't go near her.
Do as I say, quick.
I'll try. Give me a minute.
Who is it?
It's I, Mrs. Swenson.
This blanket, it's too short.
Just a minute, Mrs. Swenson. Her feet are sticking out. Get those clothes out of the valise. Throw them on top of her.
That's the best I can do.
All right. Sit on the bed in front of her feet.
Please hurry, Mrs. Stone.
It's coming, Mrs. Swenson. Is everything okay, Nancy?
Yes. I feel faint.
Bite your lip. Do anything, but don't faint now. Good evening, Mrs. Swenson.
Good evening, Mr. Stone. I hope I'm not intruding. I saw your light, so I knew you weren't asleep yet.
We were just going to sleep, weren't we, Nancy?
Yes. I should have thought you'd be asleep long ago. Oh, you see, I brought you a jug of my own homemade apple cider. I'll put it right here.
Some glasses, too.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Swenson.
It's awfully nice of you. Oh, not at all. It's so nice to have a honeymoon couple. I wanted to do it earlier, but my heart was bothering me. I have a bad heart, you know.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that, Mrs. Swenson. Well, thank you for everything.
Oh, aren't you going to try my cider? I thought you'd like to drink a toast.
Well, we're not very thirsty right now, Mrs. Swenson. Are we, Nancy?
No. Oh, of course not. Now, run right along and leave you both strictly alone.
Good night, Mrs. Swenson, and thank you again.
Good night, Mrs. Swenson. Oh, you poor dear. You look all tuckered out sitting there on the bed. I bet you don't even know how to make up a bed. Here, I'll make it up for you.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's the least I can do. Now, you just sit over here on the chair, my dear. Please don't. Why?
Well, she means, please don't bother.
Oh, it's no bother at all. Oh, look at all these clothes all thrown around. What's this?
We can explain everything.
Shot. She's been shot. Murdered. Please, Mrs. Swenson, it's not what you think. Murdered. You're no honeymooners. You're murderers.
Stop that.
Let me go.
Stop that. No. Stop it.
I'll show you smothering in your hands.
I'm just trying to stop her yelling. Please, Mrs. Swenson.
Joe. What happened?
I don't know. She just went limp and slid down on the floor. Mrs. Swenson. Mrs. Swenson, are you all right? Mrs. Swenson.
What is it?
She's dead.
Joe. You killed her. You smothered her to death.
I'm a murderer. Me, Joe Stone, a killer. We started out on a honeymoon and now I'm a murderer.
Joe.
I was kind of dizzy for a second.
Joe, please. You look like a ghost. You're trembling.
Nancy, what are we going to do?
Are you sure she's dead?
Yeah, look at her face. She's dead. And that one on the bed. We're in a jam, Nancy. In a bad jam.
Oh, Joe. I wish I were dead, too.
They'll hold us for murder.
But it was an accident. You didn't mean to kill Mrs. Swenson.
Yeah, but how will we ever prove we didn't kill the other one, too? We'll never be able to find that guy with the black roadster. The cops will pin the rap on us.
Joe, take me out of here. I can't stand it. Her on the bed. And Mrs. Swenson on the floor. Let's go away, please. Far away.
You mean run away?
Anything, but let's not stay here. I won't go to jail. I won't. Take me away.
Yeah. We'll get out. We'll keep going. Nobody knows our names. They can't trace us. Come on, get the clothes packed.
Joe, I can't close this valise.
I'll close it. You get the other one packed. Now, don't forget anything. Look under the bed. Be sure we don't leave a single thing behind.
No, mustn't leave anything behind. Everything's packed, Joe. Hurry.
All right, I'll take the bags. You put the lights out. Hey.
What, Joe? What's wrong?
I just thought. Our fingerprints all over the place.
What do we do?
We've got to wipe them off everything. Grab a towel. We'll wipe everything in sight.
We've wiped everything, Joe, I think.
The bedstead?
Yes.
The bathroom, the faucets?
Yes.
The doorknob, the dresser?
Yes.
The water pitcher?
Yes.
And that's all. Let's go.
Joe, the cider jug. We didn't wipe that.
We didn't touch it.
I'll wipe it anyway.
Snap it up.
All right.
Come on, then. I'll feel better in the car, out on the road.
Joe, do you think we forgot anything?
I don't know. I can't think. I'm numb all over.
Darling.
Holy mackerel, Nancy. I'm a murderer. I'm a killer. Running away. We shouldn't have done it. We shouldn't have run away.
Joe, it's not as if you killed her on purpose. It was an accident.
Nancy, you realize you're married to a murderer.
But it wasn't murder.
So easy to kill. I never thought it could be so easy. All I did was hold my hand over her face.
Please, Joe.
What time is it?
It's almost 2:00. We've been driving for an hour.
Have you got a cigarette? I think there's some in the glove compartment.
I'll get them. Joe.
What?
Our marriage license, it's gone.
Are you sure?
It's gone. It was right here.
The murder. He took it.
But why? Why would he take our marriage license?
I don't know. I can't think straight anymore.
He knows our names, everything about us. Joe, there's no use our running away. He knows who we are. We'll always be at his mercy.
Oh, gosh. I feel all it. I can't drive anymore. I gotta rest. I gotta think.
Pull up at the side of the road. Look, up ahead, a gas station closed for the night. We can park there.
Yeah. I wish I could sleep for 100 years.
Poor Joe. Here, put your head on my shoulder.
The first night of our honeymoon. And maybe the last.
Joe. It's 6 o'clock.
Hey. It's daylight. I slept all through the night.
I guess I fell asleep, too. It's cold.
Yeah, we should have closed the windows. Gee, baby, you look pretty. Your hair mussed up.
Joe.
Gosh, your hands are cold. Here, let me warm them.
It's our first morning together, Joe.
Yeah, our first morning together. This isn't the way I used to dream about. How did we ever get in a mess like this? We're back where we were last night in the same jam. Nothing's changed. Those 2 corpses still in the cabin. What do we do?
Joe, let's not think about it for a while yet. Let's go find a place for breakfast. Our first breakfast together. After that, we'll go back to thinking about it. But at least, let's have those few minutes. Sort of stay of execution.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a place, Joe, a diner.
Yeah, but I haven't got much appetite.
What we both need is something hot.
Think there's an alarm out for us yet?
Let's not think about it.
Early weather report.
The customers
indicates
inside.
rain
That's good.
before tonight.
Morning.
Early
You've been traveling all night?
Yeah, all night. Some scrambled eggs, please.
Right. It'll take a few minutes.
That's all right. We'll wait.
I'll turn the radio up for you.
This is brought to you. This is your friendly neighborhood station with the early morning local news. During the night, death came to Mrs. Hannah Swenson, whose tourist cabins are located on the Bay Park Highway.
Joe.
Yeah.
Right off Route 27. Mrs. Swenson's body was discovered by Oscar Jansen, the handyman, who was awakened by the sound of a car driving away from one of the cabins. Investigating, he found Mrs. Swenson lying on the floor of cabin 3. Dr. Macklin, who was summoned immediately, noticed that Mrs. Swenson had died of a heart attack.
Heart attack?
He had been treating her for a severe heart ailment.
And I didn't kill her.
Joe, he didn't say anything
He had not taken
about
more
the
than
other
a
body.
quota of digitalis. The state police are anxious to contact a couple who occupied the cabin and who apparently left during the night. They are traveling in a blue Nash sedan, license number SN1637. Their names are not known as yet, but if they should hear this broadcast, they are requested to call at the state police barracks as soon as possible.
Let's get out of here, Nancy.
Say, what about your eggs?
I can't wait. We're in a hurry. Come on, Nancy.
What does it mean, Joe? Why didn't he mention the other body?
It's a trap, Nancy. You get it? They're keeping mum about the girl's body.
Joe, I don't think so.
What else could it be? We left 2 bodies there, didn't we?
Shut the motor off. Maybe the real murderer was waiting close by all the time. Maybe after we left, he went in and took the girl's body away again.
I don't like it. I want to get away from here, far away.
Wait, Joe. Don't you realize you're not a murderer? You didn't kill Mrs. Swenson. It was a heart attack.
That's what they say. I say it's a trap. Now, let's get moving.
Joe, it's too late. Look.
State troop?
He's coming right over here.
Sure. He's got this license. No. Well, I guess our honeymoon is over.
Well, are you Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Stone?
Yes?
You're Joe Stone?
That's right.
And you, lady, you're Nancy Stone?
Yes.
Well, then this belongs to you.
What is it?
Take it.
Our marriage license.
Where'd you get it?
One of our men happened to be cruising down by the old mill stream last night. He saw a fella get out of a roadster on the bridge carrying a girl's body. Well, the fella dumped the girl over the rail, and our man went after him. They had a gunfight, and the fella got a slug through the heart. When we went through his car, we found this. And on the back of it, you notice, he wrote your license number.
It was like you figured, Nancy. The killer was waiting outside the cabin all the time. And after we left, he came back and took the girl's body away again.
Then, officer, you got the murderer.
Yeah, sure did. But we didn't recover the body of the girl. It was carried downstream. It may take several days to find it.
Then we're not wanted for anything?
Well, you're the folks that were in Mrs. Swenson's cabin last night. We figured you left in a hurry. Kind of embarrassing to have a thing like that happen on your honeymoon, huh? I can't blame you.
But then we're free to go on our honeymoon?
Just come down to the barracks and sign a statement. Then you can be on your way.
Would you mind, officer, just a few minutes? We want to go back in the diner for our honeymoon breakfast.
Fooled you, didn't we? I'll bet you expected Joe and Nancy to come to a bad end. It's too bad Nancy had to be framed for murder, but we just couldn't resist framing her. She is as pretty as a picture. And, oh, yes. Would you care to hear our recipe for eliminating crime? Well, it goes like this. To prevent a murder, you must commit the murderer before he commits the murder. Think that over for a while, and then you'll be ready to murder someone. Well, friends, it's time once again to close that creaking door. Until next week at the same time, when we'll be back with a little hunk of horror.
Inner Sanctum has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Well, that's it for this hour of Airchecks. We will have more of Airchecks for tomorrow with more Halloween-themed episodes, including one radio show that terrified the nation for several days. You will want to stay tuned for that. Also, future episodes of Airchecks will be clumped together into 3-hour episodes instead of separated into 1-hour episodes starting on November 4, 2023 every Saturday and Sunday. See you on the same time on the same channel.